I now call on the Vice-Chancellor to present a candidate for an honorary degree.
Chancellor, I have pleasure in presenting to you the Honourable Bruce Baird for admission to the degree of Doctor of the University. Chancellor, the Honourable Bruce Baird was born in Sydney in 1942. After completing his secondary education, he joined Qantas as a commercial trainee and undertook a Bachelor of Arts degree at the University of Sydney part-time. After completing his degree, he was appointed Staff Training Officer at Qantas and then took a position as English History Master at Cranbrook School in Sydney. In 1967, with the mining boom underway, Bruce Baird joined Alcoa in Melbourne and was heavily involved in the expansion of the production of alumina in Western Australia. It was during his work at Alcoa that he completed his Master of Business Administration degree at the University of Melbourne in 1971. In 1972, Bruce Baird was one of 14 chosen from 2,000 applicants to join the Australian Trade Commission Service. During his time here, he was posted to Germany as an Assistant Trade Commissioner and New York as the Trade Commissioner. He was responsible for the promotion of Australian trade in both Europe and the eastern states of the United States of America. Mr. Baird returned to Australia in 1980 and joined ESSO as their Government Affairs Manager, liaising with the government on issues relating to the production of oil in Bass Strait. Mr. Baird's keen interest in politics saw him enter the political arena in 1983 when he won Liberal Party pre-selection for the seat of Northcote in Sydney's northwest. In 1984, he was elected to the New South Wales Parliament. Most of us would have first heard of the Honourable Bruce Baird as the Minister for Transport, a position to which he was appointed in 1988. In this position, he was responsible for the Maritime Services Board, State Rail Authority, State Transit Authority, Department of Main Roads and the Department of Motor Transport. During the 8 years he held this portfolio, Mr. Baird was successful in, amongst other things, reducing the annual running costs of state rail by $450 million per annum, introducing Explorer and Endeavour trains to New England, the South Coast and the Hunter Valley, introducing River Cats to Parramatta, and introducing sleeper cars on XPT trains. It has been said that the Liberals' Transport Minister Bruce Baird, a confirmed freeway builder, remains the greatest rail building minister in Sydney's post-war history. During his term as Transport Minister, he was elected Minister responsible for Sydney's Olympic Games bid and a member of the lobbying team. Mr. Baird played a significant role in helping Sydney and in effect Australia in its successful bid to host the year 2000 Olympic Games. In 1995, Mr. Baird resigned from Parliament and took on the role of Managing Director of the Tourism Council Australia. In this role, he represents the interests of over 700 members of the Council and in excess of 30,000 affiliated tourism and travel enterprises. He has the sole and sometimes daunting task of communicating directly with state and federal governments on the concerns and issues affecting this large and growing industry. In this role, Mr. Baird is required to travel extensively and is included in a number of key tourism missions overseas. Chancellor, it is my pleasure to present to you the Honourable Bruce George Baird, Bachelor of Arts of the University of Sydney and Master of Business Administration of the University of Melbourne for the award of the degree of Doctor of the University.
By the authority delegated in me by the Council, I hereby admit the Honourable Bruce Baird to the degree of Doctor of the University. We will now have a musical interlude presented by the Faculty of Music String Quartet. They will play Serenade by Haydn. Yet another example of the talent which abounds in this university. I would like now to ask Hon Dr Bruce Baird to deliver the occasional address.
Chancellor Rick Charlton, Vice-Chancellor Roger Holmes, members of council, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. Well, firstly, thank you very much for the great honour that you have done this afternoon for myself. I'm particularly appreciative of this honour. I feel somewhat undeserving of it, but having a daughter who's worked for the past 3.5 years for her doctorate, she would remind me of the significance of this event, but I really appreciate the significance and privilege of the award that you have offered me. Thank you very much. Secondly, that I would need to say to you how pleased I am to be able to speak this afternoon. And I'm joined here today by my wife Judy and also by my mother-in-law, who actually is celebrating her 80th birthday today. So I'm glad to have her here with me checking out what I'm saying. But in speaking this afternoon, it's quite challenging. I'm very pleased to see so many tourism graduates here, and I'm told by one of the academic staff that the colours are relating to the blue and yellow as the yellow of the sand and the blue as the blue of the harbour. That makes me feel quite at home. And certainly being so close to the Hunter Valley, which is the second most important tourism region in Australia outside the city of Sydney, and all its potential, that you are very well placed here at this university with its very fine and strong tradition. Also being so close to Newcastle, that magnificent city, and we certainly in my role in tourism would encourage the council to get on in approving those hotels that we're waiting for there, but that's for another day. But today is not a day for speeches A, B or C or even D, E or F, but rather about you as students and the challenges that lie ahead. It's an exciting time and I want to congratulate you on your achievement. This is a great day and a wonderful time for you to look at what you've achieved, to celebrate with your family these great achievements. The future to you beckons with its glittering possibilities in terms of career, money and establishing one's own way in life. Projecting forward in what the future will be for you, what it will be for Australia in the new millennium is going to provide quite a challenge for you, but obviously it has many exciting possibilities. My wife and I attended a conference in Bangkok, a tourism conference a little over 12 months ago, and to that conference was invited a Dr. Howard Kao from Harvard University, who is a renowned futurist. And he was asked to project forward in terms of what he saw the trends for the next 20 years being in the tourism and travel industry. And he talked about three particular trends that would be of significance. The first one was the demographic changes that would occur around the world, and he mentioned that by the year 2005 there would be 2 billion teenagers in the world. For those of you at the back of the hall, what I'm sure would find it quite a challenging reality. But in terms of other changes that he mentioned was the great changes in cyberspace in terms of the way people did their bookings. No longer would it be in the next 20 years relying on your travel agent, but going to the internet, looking at the rooms that are being offered in terms of a hotel and resort, looking at the various views from the internet, making your bookings, organising your visa exchange, using your handprint for entry into countries. And so all your transactions being carried out by the internet as well. And in terms of sending back to your parents or your relatives at home, the images by electronic means straight back and instantaneously instead of waiting for your Polaroid shots. But the third most important area that he also talked about is in the changing world that we would see in the future, in the greater degree of privatisation, in the greater computerisation of our world, there would also be a greater search for meaning within individuals' lives. So that in travel and tourism, that the great attractions of yesteryear in terms of going to the Montmartre and Notre Dame, St Paul's and London Bridge, Via Veneto and the Colosseum would be changed. And while people would continue to go there, then increasingly they would be going to meditation centres in Asia and in the hills of the Pyrenees, in the mountains of the Pyrenees, and spending time on deserted islands just to discover themselves and to establish their own identities. And we're seeing this already starting to emerge. The search for meaning for the graduates is going to be one of the big challenges for you in the future. Establishing values in today's career-driven environment will be difficult. And perhaps it's the age I've reached, but I see both ends of the spectrum now. Firstly, I see young people who come for advice, and many of them seem to be totally consumed by their career and material possessions. Secondly, middle-aged people at the other end of the rainbow, looking at retirement and regretting the allocation of all of their time, resources, skills and energy into a career that in some cases has left them disillusioned. Henry Nouwen, a Harvard theologian, in his book Reaching Out, talks about the importance of the three key aspects in individual development, particularly in relation to values and a sense of identity. The first he mentioned is spending time alone for contemplation and re-evaluating the direction in which one is going. I noticed that Andrew Denton, just a week ago, the well-known Sydney television presenter and comedian, said in the weekend's paper, "Whatever the best moment in my life is going to be, it won't have anything to do with being in public. It will be a quiet moment somewhere, unlooked for, unasked for." Henry Nouwen quotes the words of Khalil Gibran at a wedding ceremony, "Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone. Even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music, stand together yet not too near together. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow." So there is importance for us to be alone and to establish our own identity. And of course, as the other two parts, Henry Nouwen points out that it's not only spending time alone, which in itself is not going to be productive, and is also linked in balancing with reaching out into the wider community and integrating with others. And I know that many of the degree courses that we have today are involved in just that, in reaching out into the community in a very significant way. And the third part he mentioned was also embarking on one's own spiritual journey and the search for a deeper meaning in life. In regard to the search for meaning and spirituality, it's interesting to note that arguably Australia's most well-known and controversial historian, Manning Clark, called Australia the kingdom of nothingness, an idea taken from John Henry Newman's sermon on the age of unbelief. Newman's essay is not about the decline of religious belief or the decline of belief in the divinity of Christ. It's about believing in absolutely nothing. That's what Clark calls the kingdom of nothingness, a country in whose soil the roots of any major religion failed to take hold, where the ideologies of the left were sustained by dreams of a working man's paradise, dreams of making this world better. These faded this century, he argued, after grand-scale destruction and devastation of World War II, the dropping of the bomb, the Holocaust and other events shook humanity's belief in a benevolent, loving God or mankind's inherent goodness or a capacity for better things. It is important that as students you do not succumb, or as graduates now, you do not succumb to the kingdom of nothingness, but develop a real sense of meaning in your life. As students setting out in your threshold of your career, it is important that you take time to smell the flowers, to develop your sense of caring and your own sense of spirituality. Get involved in the community and make a difference. Get involved in areas of concern, such as the homeless and the disadvantaged. Look to involvement in organisations such as World Vision, Care Australia, Salvation Army, Sydney City Mission or Newcastle's Mission, AusAid, Smith Family. Make sure that it's not simply a matter of writing out a cheque to a worthwhile organisation that gives you a sense of belonging to the community at large. Speak out on issues that affect your community. Be concerned about issues such as the Republic, land rights, environmental protection, and even the Australian waterfront. It was great to see that we have our graduates today in Aboriginal Studies. Develop interests in sporting and cultural life. Continue to educate yourself and be involved with your family. Accept them for all their faults as they accept you, and you will find that strong family relationships become a reservoir and a strength to reach out to others in the community. In summary, in leaving the world of academia, these years of learning and lifting your sights, do not lose sight of your values. Do not get lost in a corporate wilderness where attention is focused on income and bonuses and Gordon Gekko-style greed, but retain a balance in your life and your sense of values and vision. Best wishes for the future and congratulations on your achievement. This is undoubtedly a great day in your life and your family's life. You are the leaders of tomorrow, and you will fashion the Australia of the new millennium. In the challenges that face you in the future, make sure that you make a difference.
Thank you, Dr. Baird, for your address.